The owner of the site in Rabie Ridge has apologized for those injured during the attempted invasion. Rali Mampeule says they're in talks with the aim to develop the land. Well, Rabie Mampeule has been following that story out and about for us this morning. Rabie, good morning. And what we see, very different scenes from yesterday. We see things relatively calm, but you have to wonder how long will that hold? I mean, has the message filtered down that possibly these people will be helped and given somewhere to live in future?
Well, at this moment, the community is much calmer. In fact, the contentious land of 126 hectares right beside me is being cordoned off now with fencing. The CEO of the South African Housing and Infrastructure Fund, Rali Mampeule, is who we spoke to, and in fact apologizing over the violence that we saw over the last 3 days, with those rubber bullets being fired by private security fidelity to the community as they tried to invade this land. He's now cordoning off the very land itself, and in fact he did confirm with eNCA that the answer as to whose land is it anyway, in fact, was acquired by the fund some 3 months ago. Let's just take a listen to him as he tried to explain that acquiring of the land.
We engage with the different community leaders, and it's difficult to give a piece of paper of proof of ownership to 3,000 residents. And what we've done, we've given our proof of ownership to the authorities, which is obviously the Department of Human Settlement and the City of Johannesburg. And obviously the residents have got a right to go and get proof of that ownership. But the fund has invested in the property on the basis that we want to accelerate delivery of affordable housing. And it's quite simple. In South Africa, you don't even need to ask somebody on the street. We have mechanism and places like this office where you just press a button, you put an F number, and it tells you who's the owner of the property. We have a world-class property ownership laws in this country, so it's quite simple. So Sahif has put an investment in this property, and we try to protect the asset. We had to give some kind of hard love on the basis that we want to work with our people in finding a solution in terms of giving them infrastructure, giving them roads, sewer, and all sorts of things.
Well, Rabie, I suppose asking people who actually have no decent places to sleep or eat or, keep their children is actually quite a tall order, asking them for patience, because this problem didn't just crop up yesterday or last week.
It is an issue that's been ongoing, especially around this particular land, which we understand has been left destitute for decades. But we do understand now that there are engagements between the fund developers and government as to a way forward. There are no concrete plans as yet as to what is going to happen to the land. There are no time frames yet given as to what is going to happen to the 126-hectare land. But those conversations behind closed doors are happening. I had a conversation with MEC Lebohang Maile of Human Settlements in Gauteng, who seemed to suggest that they could look into two ventures, either acquiring all of the 126 hectares, buying it off from the South African Housing and Infrastructure Fund, or they'll let the fund itself develop the land and then thereafter buy it when it's developed. I had also a conversation with the fund CEO itself, who seemed to suggest that they're also not only in conversation with government alone, but also in conversation with the private sector, because it is their land and they do want, as much as they want to accommodate the community, they have to be practical about what happens. Yeah, they did commit to building the sewage and the water, and they want to build the infrastructure as a whole, but of course those conversations are happening behind closed doors. But we'll be getting updates, keeping up with them as to exactly what's going to happen, but there are plans without time frames given as yet.
Rabie Ridge, thanks very much in Rabie Ridge for us this morning. Now, the city of Johannesburg